Hello, welcome to Local Anesthetic Podcast, your bi-weekly, semi-bi-weekly injection of mind-numbing local news. My name is Alex. Joining us, as always, is Rob for episode 340, a listener story spectacular. How you doing there, Rob?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, mate. I really think we need to improve on that opening. We need to make a decision on how it feels messy, Alex, at the top of the episode.
Right. Well, live with it.
Yeah, fine. Right, okay.
Can I just wanted to say to everybody, Rob, I do like to say at the top of the show, because there are some people out there with their pens and pencils, detailing all of this in their tables or on their Excel spreadsheets. This, as I said, is episode 340, a listener story special, and we are recording on Tuesday, the 6th of July. Now, Rob, you and I saw each other at the weekend, face to face, in person.
Well, yes. You've always said to me, if you're ever in the area, just drop by. And, I took that literally. So I was quite stunned by how rude you were when I actually knocked on your door. But that's fine, Alex. It's just one of those things. Well,
I think I said I didn't want my drive tarmacked, but thanks anyway.
Yeah, based on lazy stereotypes. Alex, those days are behind me now. I've moved on to new things. Now I'm shoeing horses, that kind of thing.
And I don't have a drive.
Well, exactly. So that more reason to build you one. But, look, it's fine. It's okay.
Rob came over with his wife and his beautiful baby daughter. And I'm not just saying that because Rob's on the podcast. I'm still been struggling to process, Rob, how your loins produced a child so gorgeous, but never mind. There might be something suspicious going on. We might never know.
That's very kind of you to say. I have to say, listeners, and again, I'm not just saying this for the podcast. She loved you. She was. Oh, did you? There was something of she was very taken with you. So yeah, it's obviously not mutually exclusive, reciprocated.
Do you know what that was, Rob?
Go on.
Amphetamines.
Right. Okay. So you've been drugging my daughter. Well, you
can get them for children now. So yeah, it made her more amenable. But what I would say is, Rob, we had an interesting conversation over lunch that day, and I wondered if you wanted to share it on the podcast, because I thought, look, let's use... Now, not to take the piss out of you, I promise. Let's use our listeners as the resource base they are. So Rob, for some reason in the middle of lunch, started talking about how he has this recurring thought of this advert he remembers seeing many years ago that he believes was a Tango advert, but he hasn't been able to locate it or find any reference to it. And so we wondered whether or not it was just a figment of his imagination. But Rob, I have looked for it for you, I promise. I can't find it either, but I wonder if any of our listeners remember it. So Rob, I'm going to hand over to you to detail this advert that you remember that seems to be preoccupying you a lot.
Right, so listeners, I think I may have misremembered the brand, first and foremost, but the way that the advert went, and I'm trying to think, I think it was probably mid to late noughties that the advert aired. Basically, it was around a man who I think had recently become engaged to his partner and was trying to look for a way out. Anyway, they'd gone round to the in-laws for like a family dinner, and whatever the brand was, he'd obviously downed it. This is why I think it was Tango, because it seems to be within Tango's sort of ballpark in terms of quite strange, surreal adverts. And he had this this inner monologue for what I believe was like a worm or his gut. And basically, this inner worm, as I seem to remember it, basically advised him that in order to try and find a way out of the relationship, he should come on to his fiance's father. But the difficulty was when he squeezes the father's leg under the table, and then the issue was that the father then reciprocates the squeeze, and then this sort of worm or whatever creature it was just turns to the camera and goes, "Oh dear," and that was the end of the advert. If anyone,
do you know what, Rob? As you describe that really does ring a bell, and I'm not kidding you. Listening to that again, that really sounds familiar. Because I said, at the time that Rob mentioned this, I said that the worm was Rob's sort of invisible friend that tells him what to do, and that basically Rob is having some kind of psychotic episode. Now, we did wonder if it was a worm or a snake. You said it was orange.
It was. I seem to remember it was orange, and it was in an internal, because it seemed like it. And again, I'm starting to wonder whether this was a sketch routine that I've seen. But basically, it was in. I think it was in like his gut or in his stomach or something like this, which would make sense that if he's imbibing whatever this product was, it will kind of make sense. But yeah, if anyone has any recollection of that, please, for the sake of my sanity, do get in touch.
It might not be an advert, Rob. It could be a sketch. Absolutely. It could be about like listening to your gut. I don't know, Rob. I don't know. We did wonder if it's a brand. Could it be Tango, Tizer, Iron Brew, something like that? Listeners, help us out. Let Rob know. And Rob, you will return to the next podcast, hopefully, with an answer.
I'm hoping so. So listeners, please do get in touch. I'd love to know. Now, on that note, Alex, people have been getting in touch, and there's a few orders of business that I'd like to discuss, if that's okay.
For some reason, this sounds ominous. Should it?
No.
Oh, right. That sounded vaguely threatening. I felt like, I don't know, I felt like I was going to be, criticised in some way.
No, I apologise if that came across. That's certainly not the case. Yeah.
Right.
So Amy posted on, this is from last month, from June. The Thames Valley Police, as we know, the police like to post on social media about the hilarious happenings of criminals within their area.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, so this is from the Thames Valley Police, Aylesbury Vale, actually. So they said on their post, after short pursuits earlier, we were concerned when a man stopped the car he was driving and ran away from us towards the nearest building to hide. Fortunately for us, the nearest building was Aylesbury Police Station. So
it's not. I just want. It's not a carry-on film they're in. I just don't understand, like, why. Who had the idea in the police force, the police federation? Let's use our Twitter account to poke fun at criminals. Maybe it is actually, Rob. Do you know what? It could actually be a psychological tactic. Maybe somebody's told them. Maybe some psychologist, or there is sort of evidence which shows that if you humiliate people who commit crimes, they're less likely to do them because people don't want to be shown up. I mean, that would make sense, wouldn't it? They don't want to lose face.
Yeah. And they say, as an added bonus, once at the station, a large number of very small items were then thrown across the car park. We briefly closed the station to recover all the items. We'll be sending them off for testing. A 25-year-old man from London has been arrested on suspicion of being concerned in the supply of drugs and is currently in custody.
Oh, fuck. That's the guy who sold me the amphetamines.
Yeah, that would make sense, yeah. Well, Alex, you should have known better. If you want good quality amphetamines, do buy them off the dark web.
Right.
Kyber just gets in contact regarding episode 337, and he says, Close Encounters starred Richard Dreyfuss and not Robert Duvall.
Oh, shit! Of course it was Richard Dreyfuss. But do you know what? I knew the first name started with an R, and I knew the second name started with a D. Well, and I knew it wasn't you. And I knew it wasn't you, Rob. Rob,
yeah. So interestingly, he actually says, the mix-up was over two actors with the same initials. So
yeah.
And Rob's mention of the Russian Interceptor TV show reminded me of this old TV nonsense. And he posted a link to the Interceptor opening titles, which apparently was an ITV show, which I don't remember.
No. But he did say nonsense, didn't he, and not nonsense?
No, he did say nonsense. Yeah. Those two things are very different. Then he goes on to say, it got me thinking that I'd love to see a survival show broadcast live from Eagle Heights. They open all the cages at closing time, and contestants are forced to survive overnight within the confines of the park, armed only with just fire extinguishers. Is a concept.
That is absolutely brilliant. We need to think who would host that. Dale Winton.
Oh, I mean, what's Dale been doing recently? He needs the work, Alex. I'm sure he'll be on board with that. Kyber also in another post.
But also Les Dennis is also, like how there's this habit now on shows, Rob, that it's not just one celebrity presenter, there'll kind of be another one too.
Yeah.
Doing some more menial role. So hosted by Dale Winton, but Les Dennis is is out there and has to survive amongst the guests also and report live.
I imagine that Dale Winton would be in the studio, and as you say, Les Dennis would be in the midst of it, trying to interview the contestants whilst they're being, ravaged by a leopard or something. Yeah. Kyber also posts again on the 10th of June, just an advert from Ye Olde Hot Dog, and asked whether we considered sponsorship. That seems like a viable option to me, Alex.
Is he mentioning that because you once ate Ye Olde Hot Dog live on air without even cooking it?
That's right, yes. I mean, I didn't realise, apparently, their advertising slogan is the original and favourite hot dog since 1949.
Very true, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure favourite is correct here.
I'll ask my dad. My dad was born in 1952. I'll say to him, was this a popular brand when you were growing up? Was that Sunday lunch, ye olde English hot dog?
Yeah, they all sat around the table, opened their cans of, poured out their sausage, again, not a euphemism, and just chowed down.
Yeah.
And the very last post from Kaiba, which is in regards to episode 338, Al mentions that he's on some kind of email list for pro-gun publications.
Yes, I am.
Which he did. Could this be the result of the time he tried sniping someone at university?
Yeah, possibly has been a long-standing interest, Kaiba, you're right. Okay, talking, Rob, can I kick off? Because this is a perfect segue.
One more thing. He just says he loves DS9 too, and then posts a meme of comparing. So we know that obviously the famous press conference from when Rudy Giuliani famously gave his press conference from Four Seasons. What was it?
Gardening centre next door to the pawn shop.
And obviously the hair dye was sweating down his face, and someone makes the comparison between him and Odo from DS9. When he had very flaky skin.
Good.
Yeah, and it's quite alarming. Anyway, Alex, crack on. Sorry. That's all.
Well, I mentioned a segue. Rob, don't ruin the segue. Talking of Kaiba, the first listener story this week comes from Kaiba. Now, unfortunately, it would have been good to have read this out a while ago. That's not going to happen because we are where we are. Because it's the 25th of May and a lot has happened since then, but I still wanted to mention it because it's from the Bristol Live, Rob, by Estelle Farrell-Roig, who is their agenda editor, and the headline is, Matt Hancock encourages people to go to Weston-super-Mare on holiday. Now, obviously, Rob, a lot of things have befallen Matt Hancock since this story was published, but I had a thought. I just want you to listen to the story. Health Secretary Matt Hancock encouraged people to go on holiday to Weston-super-Mare during a visit to the area. Matt Hancock visited Riverbank Medical Centre Vaccination Clinic in the North Somerset town this afternoon, Tuesday, to hear how the COVID-19 vaccination programme is going in the region. During his visit, the Secretary of State, the then Secretary of State for Health and Social Care, said, I would love people to come to Weston-super-Mare. Holidays are important for everyone, and with international travel being more difficult, I can't think of a better place than Weston-super-Mare to come on holiday. In the summer, I am going on holiday on the southwest. But he said, I'm going a little bit further south and a little bit further west than here. I'm going to Cornwall. But if I ended up in Weston-super-Mare... what a ringing endorsement.
He's saying... So he's encouraging people to go to Weston-super-Mare, which, by the way, is not where he's going. He's going quite some way away from Weston-super-Mare, which is probably the correct distance.
A little bit further south, Rob, and a little bit further west, Cornwall. But he does say, if I ended up in Weston-super-Mare, I would be very happy. Now, Rob, there's that phrase, isn't there? That old slang that if you said somebody had gone to Coventry, it meant they went to prison.
Yeah, that's right.
So I would like to incorporate into our common lexicon the phrase that if you end up in Weston-super-Mare, it means basically you've cheated and it's been recorded on CCTV, you've been found out, you've lost your job. And that will be shorthand for he's gone to Weston-super-Mare.
Absolutely. There's something, I don't know. I like the idea that Matt Hancock could be a travel representative. Also, he becomes basically the man whose responsibility is to promote the benefits of Weston-super-Mare. I'd like to see that, Alex.
Well, that could. He is looking for. He's gonna. I wonder how hard it's gonna be. He's still an MP. I'm surprised about that he hasn't had to. I'd like to see a by-election there. That would be fun.
Yeah. Do we know who he's the MP for? Would that have interest?
Where he's the MP for? It's a good question. I have no idea. No.
You keep talking.
Do you want to look that up, Rob?
I'm going to have a look. Matt Hancock, by the way, is apparently he's the MP for West Suffolk.
Weston-super-Mare.
Which is why he holidays in Cornwall.
Where did you say?
West Suffolk.
Now, where's that, Rob?
It's...
Isn't that Norfolk? Near Norfolk?
No, West Suffolk is an entirely different county, Alex.
Yeah, okay, go on then.
Which is worse because, my wedding was in Suffolk. Yeah.
Well, I couldn't tell you where I went to get there, so whereabouts is it?
Well, it's above
Essex. North of London, wasn't it?
Well, you kind of north. North. It's East Anglia. That's the best way to describe it.
Well, that's what I meant. What I meant towards Norfolk, I meant like that region of England. Didn't say it's in Norfolk. I thought it was very near Norfolk.
The trouble is, by saying it's north of London, there's quite a lot of things north of London.
No, earlier I said near Norfolk, and you ridiculed me, but it is near Norfolk.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. I think so. Basically, you're looking at sort of Bury St Edmunds way. Is right, if anyone wants some reference
Rob,
points.
Let me do another story from Amy, from wherever she lives. Metro. Brilliant story. It's by Lawrence Dollimore. Friday. No, it's not. That was the day it was published. It's by Lawrence Dollimore on Friday, the 4th of June.
Brilliant.
Anyway. You ready for the best headline ever, Rob?
Go on.
Now, you're going to have to look this up in a second because I'm going to have to show you the picture. Headline, residents realise their new cul-de-sacs look like big ball sacks.
Right.
Yes, indeed. Now, bring up that picture, Rob, because I want you to look at it before we even start.
Okay.
So you can see the aerial shot of their cul-de-sac. Really described for the listener.
I mean, it does look like a big ball sack, Alex. I hate to say it. I mean, the shaft is quite it's quite wavy, I'd say, but there's from above it does look like it does look like a ball sack.
Yeah, I mean, and a pretty hefty one.
Yeah, but and it is worth saying the crown has been severed.
Yes, it looks like a cock and balls with a severed crown.
Yeah.
A complete cock-up or a stroke of comedic genius. That's the mass debate. Oh my God, their Metro are clever, aren't they?
Brilliant.
That's the mass debate. I have to give it to you, Metro, there, I really do. Happening among other residents after plans were revealed for a new housing estate being erected in their area. They must have had a competition. How many double entendres can we fit into a sentence? The bone of contention they have come across is that some of the cul-de-sacs on the plans look like male genitalia. Developers are expected to get the ball rolling on the construction phase next year after being given the go-ahead in Loughborough, Leicestershire. While the driveways have tickled some people, others fear it will make the area a national laughingstock. Father of one, Gary Moore, 40, a car salesman from Loughborough, said, "We're being made a joke of here. Nobody wants a willy-shaped housing estate on their doorsteps." Can I just say?
Sorry.
Can I just say a willy-shaped housing estate on your doorstep?
Exactly. Yeah.
And he said they are massive as well. You could probably see them from space. I worry. No, you can't. I worry it will impact house prices around here now, and that will be made a national laughingstock. Taxi driver Neil McCarthy, 31, added, "I can't believe nobody involved in planning this has spotted the gigantic phallic-shaped cul-de-sacs in their plans. Can I also say the gigantic phallic-shaped cul-de-sacs? I almost prefer."
Yeah, the two are very close, I have to say. Yeah, I agree.
He says it's outrageous, Rob. He thinks some immature planners are having a jolly good laugh at our expense. Housing giant Parmesan insists it unfortunately shaped road layout, which is also a lovely phrase, Rob, an unfortunately shaped road layout.
I like that as well, yeah.
Yeah, will provide sufficient turning space for larger vehicles. Other residents have chosen to see the funny side. Waitress MLO 22 said, "It's a monumental balls up, shall we say. You can't help but giggle. If anything, it should help put us on the map. People can't be that uptight about it. What's not to laugh about?" And the Garden Park development is going balls to the wall. I wonder if that's the first time the Metro's ever used that phrase.
Yeah, I think it might be. I do wonder whether the editor just found the most junior member of staff and just walked over and went, "Look, just go mad on it, all right?"
Yeah, exactly. They're going balls to the wall in terms of community living, building 2 new primary schools, a mixed-use community hub, 16 hectares of employment land. I don't know what employment land is. Is that where you send the serfs out to till the fields? Here's some employment land. Go and till it.
Is it not an entirely possible development that the Conservative Party have developed this what would effectively be like I don't say concentration camp, but basically this resource called employment land, where they have to basically graduate from employment land. You know, they do things like they learn how to work in a shop, to build a wall using cement, that kind of thing.
I think you're right, Rob. Yeah, you're right. Basic skills, Rob.
So it's a massive warehouse that just teaches you manual labour.
Yeah, that really does sound very sinister.
Yeah.
Overseen by Matt Hancock.
Well,
that's
not
what
anymore,
he does
Alex.
now. No, that's what he does now. That's what they're going to send him off to do. He will oversee these sort of training camps.
Yeah, but I think nowadays, if he was still the Home Secretary, yes, of course, but now he has to pass it himself before he can then graduate up through the ranks.
Actually, I take it back. Rees-Mogg will do it. Rees-Mogg could have been the Gestapo.
It is. I think that might be slanderous or libel. Slander.
What was the Gestapo? Wasn't that really? Isn't that nice organisation that's attached to the Salvation Army who do good work? Oh no, sorry, I take that back. Sorry, I didn't mean that. No. He'd never be a member of that, and then he wouldn't look good in the uniform either. It wouldn't suit him at all. Rob,
good point.
Next story, Amy again. I've got to read this out. It's from the Lad Bible, but it has been reported other places by Stuart Perry. Rob, this story is ridiculous, and in a moment I'm going to ask you to look up the picture associated with it. It's from the 30th of June. Parents horrified after Aussie students taught lesson about nkerman. Do you want to hear about nkerman, Rob? Now, Rob.
Yes, parents horrified.
No, don't put it in yet. Don't put it in yet, because I don't want you to look at the picture yet.
Fine.
I want you to look at it in a second. Rob, this is a cautionary tale for, well, really, people like yourself. So I want you to listen carefully.
Right.
Students at a New South Wales high school have been left uncomfortable and distressed over a lesson involving a bizarre artwork. Kids in Year 8 at Curry Curry High School were presented with The Nkerman, which is a drawing of a man that apparently cannot control his urges, Rob. The bald-headed caricature has swollen hands, because he wanks too much, Rob.
Right.
He has a seeing eye dog for blindness and a, in quotes, mental illness. According to another phrase on the artwork, the bloke has a permanent erection and, in quotes, can't stop wanking. This was presented to kids aged between 13 and 14 and has left many confused and upset. Now, Rob, before we continue, you must now look up nkerman.
This has to be... This is a prank, right? Someone...
No, apparently not. It's been reported in the Australian Daily Telegraph, which is a big publication. I've checked it out, the veracity of it.
Oh my God.
Can you describe for the listener exactly what you see in that picture, which to me looks like some sort of... anybody who's seen Breaking Bad, it looks like a sort of crystal meth hallucination in the desert. But Alex, never mind, Rob.
It looks like Carl Pilkington.
It really does. Can you describe... let me go ahead. There's a blue sky, a very hot sun, like a sort of desert with sort of silhouetted mountains behind. There's some sort of cabin to the side. And then very prominently at the front of the picture is a man, bald-headed man, who looks like Carl Pilkington, as Rob says, sweating. He's wearing a sort of lycra green... It's a cartoon, by the way, a lycra green bodysuit with nkerman written on it and a belt with a W on it. He has throbbing red hands. He has, there's just an arrow pointing at his head and it says mental illness. He's tethered to a dog who is a seeing eye dog for blindness, and underneath the picture in big letters are can't stop wanking.
It is extraordinary, Alex. What does it say at the top? I can't see what it says at the top.
It says with something and job specific industrial something
hazards.
Loss of hair.
What is going on?
Rob, the artwork was meant to frame the subject as a superhero with a strange power, and it was created in 2001 with charcoal on paper. The art teacher reportedly told the students this is an example of, in quotes, toilet humour, and they were told to recreate the image according to the Australian Daily Telegraph. One student refused and was very concerned her protest would end up affecting her grade. A state education department told News Corp no student received a negative referral in relation to this matter. The choice of material for this Year 8 visual arts lesson was not appropriate and could cause offence. New South Wales Education Minister Sarah Mitchell said the teacher has received a caution for the lesson and has been urged not to use material like this in the future.
This is one of those situations where we really have to ask, how did it get to this point? You would hope that common sense would have prevailed a long time before the class even took place.
Absolutely. Rob, I'm going to just, before I hand over to you, we're going to, because we have so many stories this week, and I want to thank everybody who's been sending us stories. I mean, and we are sorry if yours doesn't get featured or you sent one that you thought was great and it's not featured, because we really do have to pick the best here. But, I think I need to do this from Steve, actually. Any that don't get covered, Rob, we'll have to can we put into a a filed box so we can cover them at some point.
Yeah, sure.
Grimsby Telegraph by Paige Freshwater. Rob, what a name.
Yeah.
What a fucking name is Paige Freshwater.
She doesn't sound like the kind of woman that I imagine living in Grimsby, if I'm completely honest.
Or maybe she doesn't.
No, good point.
Headline: Clown devastated after shoes stolen from Planet Circus, oh my god, dressing room.
So, sorry, I got kind of lost towards the end. What the fuck is Planet Circus?
Well, it seems to be a company called Planet Circus OMG, which I assume stands for oh my god. I mean, I could be wrong.
Right, okay. And a clown has had his shoes stolen.
A pair of clown shoes have been stolen from a Planet Circus OMG dressing room. Welson M, who performs as Welson the Clown, has been left devastated by the theft. He recently performed in Cleethorpes and is now putting on a show in Scunthorpe. It doesn't get much better than that, Rob. Ponton's next.
Yeah, there's definitely going something downhill there, isn't it? Yeah.
Now, his self-designed shoes were stolen from his dressing room at Scunthorpe's Glanford Park on Tuesday, June 8th. Welson has had to borrow another clown's shoes in his most recent performance in Scunthorpe. Rob, let me tell you something. There's nothing more humiliating for a clown than to have to go to another clown and ask to borrow his shoes. The only thing which is more humiliating than that is ask to have to borrow their red nose.
Good point. Now, Alex, can I at this juncture, I feel that I need to roll out my clown fact.
Right. Okay. Hang on a minute. Let me just play the necessary noise. Rob's clown fact of the week. I don't know if it's going to be a new feature, but it might have legs. We'll see. Or shoes.
It doesn't. I only have the one. So people may or may not know that every single clown's makeup is unique, and you can actually copyright your clown makeup via the clowning governing body, whose name escapes me now. And the way that they do that is by capturing the makeup. So the way that you make your face up, whether it may be with, I don't know, with a certain style of makeup on an egg, and that style is then copyrighted to the individual clown.
Where did you hear this, Rob? Did hang on a minute? Did that orange snake stroke worm tell you this?
No, it's a fact, Alex. I've known it for years. I can't remember where I heard it.
Right. You see, now if you were ringing up LBC,
Mystery Hour.
Called? Mystery Hour. I don't think you'd get through with that because you've got no credentials, Rob.
I think James will keep it on the board and would ask for someone to call in to verify it. However, I think he would take it.
Okay. Right, anyway, this clown in question said, I'm really passionate about my job. I've been performing the same as always, but I know something is missing. I designed the shoes myself and they go with my outfit. I don't know why someone would want to steal clown shoes. I use them as part of my gig and I really hope I can get them back. Welson has been doing his act for 8 years after joining the circus, age 13. I didn't know that happened in this country. You know, that you would join the circus at 13 years old. Seems cruel. Seems to be a social services issue, if you ask me.
Maybe he went through employment land, and this is what this is the profession that they feel that he should be designated.
I think he went on the gov.uk careers website where you put in, your skills, and this is what it came out with.
Could he? I know it's a big part of his act, and obviously maybe part of his persona. But could he not just make a new pair of shoes?
Well, he says, speaking about his job, the best part of performing is, well, I don't think anyone will ever be able to describe the feeling. We love making the audience happy and seeing the smile on their faces. When I was a kid, I always wanted to be a doctor or a soccer player, maybe a singer or a famous actor. By that time, I had no idea that I was going to be something 1,000 times better. I became a circus performer. Welson said, it can be very difficult to find clown shoes, especially one that matches outfits. Rob, before I continue this story, I can honestly imagine Matt Hancock leaving politics and becoming a clown. A very tragic clown.
God.
Rob, that is just perfect.
It really is. And you're absolutely right. I mean, he already is. I think I said this in a text to you. He already is quite I think my exact words were, he's quite a tragic figure, but I imagine deep down he's a little devious cunt. But yes, absolutely. I imagine you could easily. The trouble is, you could see him on any street corner, in sort of very sort of flea-bitten clothing, shoes which are open at the end where his toes are sticking through, wearing a big sort of, exaggerated frown.
He's like a Simpsons character. Rob, Matt, we need to say here that we sort of predicted all this, really. It was only a few episodes ago of LA Podcast that we played out with Matt Hancock, that footage of Matt Hancock at karaoke at the height of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Singing Don't Stop Me Now. And we now know that at that time, we said he was full of himself, but he was also like, he looked like a man on the edge. We know at that time, Rob, he had this complete double life going on. That was a desperate man. You know, anybody who wants to think, you need to go onto YouTube and put in Matt Hancock karaoke. It is one of the most desperate, tragic things you'll ever witness. It's up there with anything from The Office, anything from Iron Man and Partridge. It really is quality humour.
Alex, but we may need to reframe that, because maybe he wasn't a desperate man. Maybe he was a man in love, and he just wanted to get the joy out.
Yeah, okay. Robert, can I just finish something here? Now, look, I've never really been able to get my hand...
Freudian slip there.
I've never really been able to get my head around quantum physics, I'll be honest. You know, Schrodinger's cat, it's a real headfuck, Rob. But I think I've come across something which is an even bigger headfuck, and I hope you can explain it to me. He says, my shoes cost more than £300, and here it is, Rob. This could break the universe, this sentence. They're a size 11, but they appear to be a size 14, because clown shoes are much bigger. Now, what the fuck does that sentence mean? They're a size 11, but they appear to be a size 14 because clown shoes are much bigger.
I mean, Alex, I don't know why you... Again, you need
I'm
to...
overthinking it.
You're overthinking it, absolutely. Yeah. So basically, they just fit. But
they've got extensions on them. Yeah.
They've got extensions. They've got the what they call the sort of the bulbous ends to them. So they look a lot bigger than they actually are.
Nevertheless, Rob, I don't know. There might be more to it. It reminds me of Tom Cruise because, of course, he's well known, as I understand it, for wearing lifts in his shoes. And if Tom Cruise lawyers want to come for me and Rob, bring it on. The theft, Rob, has been reported to Humberside Police. Joe McCullen, who works at Planet Circus OMG, said, we saw some youngsters around the back of the tents. It might have been them.
Why would they be... No, come on. Why would
they probably
be
think
stealing?
it's funny, Rob, because why else would you steal clown shoes? But it's really upset Wellsom. They probably don't realise how serious this is, and they just think it's funny. Planet Circus OMG runs at Glanford Park in Scunthorpe, Rob, until June the 21st. Just a few comments. Mariner29 says, there is a clown running the country. Bojo, the lying clown. Jip Paul, I don't know if that's related to Jippo Joe.
Possibly.
But it says there are a lot of clowns in Scunthorpe. And FJ6Z84PHX replies to Jai Paul and just says, we have more than our fair share here as well on the C*******L. What do you think he means? We have more than our fair share here as well on the...
I've no idea. Literally not a clue. What could that be? Channel?
It will remain a mystery, Rob.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I can say, Alex, isn't it ironic that a clown didn't see the funny side of the theft?
Very good, Rob.
Thanks.
Okay, Rob, you have some listener stories for us. Can I just say, Rob, we've got to start factoring these in more regularly, these listener story specials, because I always enjoy them so much. There's something about not having found the stories yourself which is so satisfying. And they're always top drawer.
I agree, Alex. And also, as a very lazy man, it is so much easier when people do things for me.
I've noticed also that so far, I think, well, apart from that story from Australia, all those stories have been UK based, which is nice.
Unfortunately, I'm going to be breaking the trend. This one is UK based, but I've got two from elsewhere in the world. But
okay.
My first story was submitted by Khyber. It is from the South Wales Argus. The story's from the 3rd of May by Elizabeth Burt, who has a very coquettish profile picture, I have to say.
Okay, let me look this up. What's her name?
Right. Elizabeth Burt, and she is from the South Wales Argus. She is the trainee community reporter.
How do you spell Burt?
B-I-R-T.
B-I-R-T. Okay, here we go. Sorry about this, listeners.
This is just a completely unnecessary detour, listeners.
I've got a really weird profile picture with her looking very like a goth. and looking sort of very up at the camera. That is a really strange picture, Rob, to put on a...
Yeah, coquettish, Alex.
Right.
Are you not seeing that? Are you not seeing her come hither eyes?
No.
Okay.
No. I'm disappointed,
Okay.
I'll be honest.
Okay, I'm sorry. Right, okay. So, headline. Is Welsh Nude and Proud party standing in Newport?
Is what?
Is Welsh Nude and Proud party standing in Newport?
I don't know,
it's a
is
new
it?
political party, Alex.
Oh, right, I didn't know what it meant. Right. I don't know, are they?
So, residents in Newport, Wales area may have received a rather interesting piece of election post recently. So, this is obviously prior to the local elections. All the parties been pushing leaflets through doors or sending them out in the post as part of their campaign ahead of the somewhere in Wales Senedd elections on Thursday, the 6th of May. However, one leaflet said to have been pushed through the door of the west side of the city has got people talking.
So, is this a euphemism?
No.
I just thought election does rhyme with erection, so I just wondered.
It does, yeah.
I'm just trying to push my erection leaflet through your door.
I'm just trying to push my erection. Do not push your erection through doors. It could get trapped. The leaflet says it comes from the Welsh Nude and Proud party with their candidate Dennis Smith. It's caused quite a stir on social media with users taking notice of the various statistics of the grammatical errors.
Rob, can I just ask you, do you think Dennis, the name, will ever make a comeback? I can't imagine anybody that I can. There must have been 0 people in the UK in 2021 who named their child Dennis.
But Dennis is the kind of name that I can imagine that will come back into fashion, even if it's being used ironically. I imagine.
Why would you name your child ironically, Rob? What kind of sick parent says, I know, give him an ironic name?
Alex, look, the kids of the Generation Z, they don't know anything these days, you know. Right. I mean, like the names Edith, for instance, are coming back into fashion.
Edith? Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The leaflet says that a vote for Mr. Smith would be a vote for a confident candidate, less restrictions, to renewed Newport Centre, and a vote for a more natural Wales.
Is there some people got nothing better to do than set up like joke political parties?
Alex, we don't know that's the case.
Right.
With their slogan of "Say yes to no clothes," I believe that's a solid foundation for a political party.
Mm. You're right, Rob.
The leaflet also suggests that statistics show that naked men are 90 times less likely to be mugged. Which I think is a fair point.
That's a really good point. If you don't want to be, well, number one, because you haven't got any personal possessions on you, I wouldn't think. I mean,
exactly.
Do you still classify being naked if you're walking around with a bum bag?
Good. That's a very good question, Alex.
Rob, I believe you have a bum bag, and I believe you had a bum bag prior to Lara being born. Because obviously, wearing a bum bag with a baby is sort of okay because you have to carry around these accoutrements, these sort of nappies and stuff like that. But I believe you're the kind of man who got back on that bum bag craze. Am I right?
No, not in the slightest. No, I haven't owned a bum bag since I was about 6.
Damn it! I'm getting a lot of my predictions about you recently wrong.
Yeah,
I think I may be stuck in it. I have a certain stereotype view of you, Rob, which isn't accurate.
Yeah, it's a stereotype that unfortunately never existed. But you know,
Rob, you do eat children's food. You like eating things like Monster Munch. You like eating things like those sort of like chocolate mousse yogurts you buy in, you know, the chocolate mousse things in the sort of yogurt pot you buy from supermarkets. That kind of thing. What are those yogurts called that kids eat? Not Petit Falou, but the ones that are a bit more, well, not less good for you.
Froobs? They're the ones in the tube.
Yeah.
I've no idea what you're talking about.
You do eat mini cheddars, you drink Tizer.
I don't drink Tizer.
You do.
Mini cheddar, there's nothing wrong with mini. Right, all these
when
things,
we put Rob's baby in the car when he left, he opened that boot and it was full of Tizers.
Right. There's a reason that Monster Munch changed their packaging back to the old style, because they're a nostalgia brand and people like nostalgia.
I love
it. Yeah, exactly.
So you do eat Monster Munch?
I love Monster. Are you telling me you don't eat Monster Munch?
No, I haven't for many years, but that's what I mean.
Well, then that's on you because you're missing out.
Right.
Also, just to say that the other policies they believe in are naked equals safer, which is true. clean air because everything's hanging out, and so
Not if you're a woman. I don't think naked equals safer if you're a woman. They need to rethink their policies.
Public transport. Not only do we want all buses to be electric, we also want them to be fitted with wipe down seats as standard.
Oh God.
And nude spaces. So nude spaces across Wales. I think they've got some good ideas, quite frankly.
I really like Wales and the Welsh people. I have a huge affection for the area and the people. And if they want to elect these, I wonder if they get more votes than Plaid Cymru do. It's amazing, isn't it, how few votes they get considering they're a nationalist party. It's like Wales, like, now we're fine. I don't know if any of that's accurate, by the way, but I mean, they're not I don't think they're any close to gaining power. I don't want to offend anybody.
No, I think that's true, actually. However, while it's been a bit of fun, there is, in fact, no candidate for the Welsh Nude and Proud party standing in the Senate elections. There is no indication of them being a real party either, with the printed website and email address both being unreachable. So, unfortunately, it does seem to be just a bit of fun, which is very upsetting.
Matt Hancock's next career opportunity, maybe.
Absolutely. Having seen the flyer, it does look quite high. High
quality.
High quality. Anyway, next story. Now, we were contacted the other week by a new listener by the name of Claire. She is from New Orleans.
Oh, yeah.
And amazingly, she found us via the comments section of The Guardian, which was quite astonishing that someone bothered to post in there.
Yeah, there was an article, wasn't it? And somebody was in the comment section was saying how much they missed, the old podcast with Carl Pilkington on it. And somebody mentioned having found our podcast and loved it.
Yeah, and she found us via that comment section, which is incredible. I'm glad that someone obviously was listening and felt they needed to share it, so that's good to know. And she very kindly shared this story with us. So this is from the Sun Herald, which I've had a quick look, and I think it's Mississippi. It covers, or at least that area. It's from the 24th of May by Isabella Taft, and the headline, "A burn book. Coast parents decry bullying publishing in pages of middle school yearbook."
Rob, when's the last time you bought Smarties?
I mean, I wouldn't even know, Alex.
Rob, when's the last time you had a Milky Bar?
Again, a long time ago.
A Milky Way?
Same.
I don't believe
Alex, your predictions are just... I
don't believe it.
I'm just battling them away.
I don't
It's
believe
true,
it.
Alex. Just, I these days, I eat Hotel Chocolat. I enjoy a green and blacks.
Rob, when's the last time you ate a bag of Skips?
I've never been a fan of Skips.
Okay, What's-Its or Cheetos? But now you can get away with that. What's-Its are very nice.
Okay, good. I also like Cheetos as well. Their Cheetos Flaming Hot is for me up there.
There we go. Yeah, I've got it there eventually.
Right, okay, anyway.
This is coming from the man, Rob, who's got a room full of, Star Wars collectibles, a man-child, accusing you of being stuck in the past. The hypocrisy is, you can smell it, Rob. I can smell it. I can smell it coming off myself.
It was very, again, this is a peek behind the curtain, listeners. It was very entertaining yesterday to hear your partner trying to defend her standpoint that they're not toys, and us three saying no, they are collectibles.
No, her standpoint is they are toys. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah. And they're not toys. They're not toys. You can't play with them. And I appreciated you defending me, Rob. I'll never forget it.
There's no points for articulation. They're not toys. So
it's like your train sets. That's not what it is.
No, they're not toys. They are scale models. There is a difference there.
Absolutely.
So, middle school bullying doesn't usually make it into the pages of the school-sanctioned yearbook. At Hancock Middle School. Now,
fuck off.
Hancock Middle School.
How did she know? How did she know that we were going to talk about Matt? There's a place called Hancock Middle School. He could be the dean. He could be the dean, or I don't know what they're called in America, but he could be the
principal, surely.
Yeah, he could be the principal.
It could be.
And, Rob, we had a story from Wales about a man with his hand on his cock. Hancock.
Good point.
Wanker man.
Good point.
That's what we should all call Matt Hancock. Wanker man.
Wanker man.
That's his new motto. That's his new alter ego. He's a superhero by night. Matt Wanker man.
I mean, with Matt Hancock, there's a good possibility that someone else has already given him that nickname.
Oh, Rob, it's all just so tragic. Can I just go back to it? I mean, on the day that it was revealed, he moved out, he left his wife, he moved in with her. And it's like, look, real life is not going to be the same as this affair. It's not going to have the same fuel or energy behind it. Do you know what, Rob? I don't see it ending well.
For me, it was the fact that reportedly he went home after the story broke. He went home, told his wife he was leaving, and they actually woke his kids up to tell them as well.
Oh,
that
God.
feels like a dick move.
God. Listen, kids, I need to tell you something. Daddy, there are some pictures in the paper of Daddy hugging somebody else. And Daddy's leaving now, and he's going to live with her.
Wanker man. Anyway, right.
Maybe our episode title should be Matt Hancock, the extraordinary wanker man with the A starred out. I think we've got to go with that, Rob.
I don't think we even put the extraordinary. Just put Matt Hancock, wanker man.
Okay, fair enough.
That might be my favourite episode ever.
I think we should do that. We'll get some hits from it as well, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, at Hancock Middle School this year, it did say outraged parents, alumni, and community members. The yearbook for the school's 1,100 students contained prompts like, which friend would you not like to invite on a spring break? And I would like to spike a volleyball at.
Right, okay. Because I've seen a lot of these yearbooks when I've visited them. We don't really have them over here. I'm sure some schools do, but it's not like a kind of tradition. It's a big deal over there, the yearbook. You know.
See, so I think when I left school, my year group was the first one where we actually did we've got a yearbook.
But Rob, when you say school, where you went wasn't really a school, was it? It was more like a farm where you moved bales of hay around. And they gave you got a complimentary bale of hay that which you told me you still got in your attic. And that was your sort of leaving gift. So I don't know about this yearbook.
Look, I realise that dead air is a crime, but sometimes he just needs to get them out.
It's the yearbook, just you and lots of them pictures of sheep.
Look, at the same time, Alex, we were a community, okay? We had a lot of fun adventures together.
And you always kept warm,
It wasn't
Rob.
just sheep. It was the other farm hands. It was the sheepdogs. It was the cows.
Yeah.
We still stay in touch.
Yeah.
Not the sheep and the cows, they're dead, but I think the sheepdog's still alive. Although she hasn't written back in a while.
Well, you've outlived a sheepdog. What kind of sheepdog is this?
Oh, as I said, Alex, she hasn't written back in a while. I'm sure she's fine.
Oh, right, I'm sure she's fine, yeah. Anyway, sorry.
So, screenshots of the yearbook posted on Facebook on Monday showed that middle schoolers answer the prompts with statements like, in brackets, name, because he walks weird, and name, would not be welcome to come with me on a trip because she isn't fun to be around.
Sorry, were they doing this for like a joke? Was it meant to be in good humour?
No.
Or was it really as bad-natured as it sounds? Because it could
No,
lead
they
to...
were bullying. They were bullying other classmates.
Right.
Another prompt asks, have you ever avoided a friend? One student responded with, yes, gives a name, because he's usually a brat in general. Hancock parents and alumni criticised the school on Facebook for turning the yearbook into a burn book, as one commenter put it, where the students were invited to mock and criticise their classmates. A post with hundreds of screenshots of some of the yearbook has been shared more than 600 times by midday on Monday.
What were they thinking? Like, a yearbook is something you might keep with you for life. Who's going to want this?
Exactly, yeah. Embarrassed but not embarrassed to say that this is why I dropped out. Was tired of being bullied and nothing being done about it. One person posted on Monday afternoon that the district issued a press release about the yearbook. We are aware of the unfortunate fact that the Hancock Middle School 2020-2021 yearbook contains sensitive and inappropriate comments for some of our students. The yearbook is student-led, student-published, and has in the past been an award-winning yearbook. The yearbook is, however, sponsor and administrator supervised. This year should not have included the sensitive and inappropriate comments. It feels like they're kind of scapegoat the students there.
Well, quite. What is the solution behind this? Because the only thing I can think of is that you have to recall all the yearbooks, you gather them together and you burn them in a large pyre. Some sort of ritual, Rob.
Well, I mean, Alex, if nothing else, it would be nice to bring the community together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now,
what when you burned all those sheep?
We did no. That was after I left, not because anything had happened to them. Before the commenters get involved.
Rob, do you remember Foot and Mouth? That was horrific, wasn't it? Do you remember those images of burning piles of cows across the country? I mean, do you remember that, Rob?
I did. I mean, I was, Alex, I had first-hand experience of that, so, I'd rather not talk about it.
Is that true?
No, of course it's not true. Yes, I came from the countryside. I wasn't actively involved in culling, mass culling of cattle.
Seems to me that's a kind of side job you would have done once.
Right, okay, yeah, fine. Okay, my last story.
Craig will remember that, though. I bet Craig will remember that. If you're still listening, we're sorry about what happened in those times, because he does work in an abattoir. Well, maybe you weren't. Maybe you weren't sorry. Maybe it was lots of free meat. I
think he left. I think he's left the abattoir, unfortunately. Hopefully he's doing well. Anyway, my last story is from Amy.
That's what Matt Hancock will do. He'll become a butcher.
I don't think Matt Hancock has got the constitution to become a butcher. I mean, he's a natural coward, Alex.
No, well, I still am out. No, yeah, I think if this next relationship goes tits up, he'll be a damaged man, and he'll need to take it out on something, and it'll be meat.
Good point. So my last story is from Amy. It's from the BBC News website from the 4th of May. It is COVID related. So, Japan town builds giant squid sculpture with relief money.
What? Well, they didn't have anything else to spend it on apart from a squid. That's an insult, isn't it?
Yep.
Well, we can't. I mean, we spend to use Boris Johnson's phrase, spaff all kinds of money up the wall on statues and all the rest of it when we could be, I don't know, helping out people who are homeless.
Did you see we were building like a Brexit yacht?
Oh, fuck off.
Yeah, it's supposed to. I think it's a massive like boat yacht thing, and apparently it's supposed to. I don't know if this was. I don't think it was April 1st, but I remember it's.
No, I've heard about this. Yeah, I've heard. About this.
Yeah. It's supposed to promote the values and the benefits.
That's what Matt Hancock can do. He can be first sea captain of the yacht, first seaman.
I mean, I would find it very entertaining to watch. As Matt Hancock crashes it into Southampton docks, and he's just standing on the bridge as it goes down.
Can I just say, because I am aware of Claire, and I'm sure Claire is aware of who Matt Hancock is, she probably follows the news, because I did notice it was reported around the world, but for any of our international listeners who don't know who the hell we're talking about, Matt Hancock was a very prominent British politician. He was in charge of our health department, in charge of our whole COVID response. He's an absolute loser, and basically he got caught having an affair. He was married, having an affair with some woman who was working for him, and it was all caught on CCTV, but it's all very suspicious because there should be no CCTV where it is, and they think it was hidden inside a smoke detector. So it looks like somebody was deliberately trying to get him fired. But yeah, it's a pretty big scandal. That's who he is.
Yeah. So a seaside town in Japan has raised eyebrows after it used funding for an emergency COVID relief grant to build a giant statue of a squid.
Why? Why did they want a giant statue of a squid? Is it like a 30 meter? Okay, go on.
Right. So the 30-meter long sea creature lies in the port of Noto, where flying squid is a town's delicacy. It reportedly used 25 million yen, which is £164,000 of the emergency funds to build the statue.
Fair enough.
Noto officials have told local media as part of a long-term plan to lure tourists back after the pandemic. So that's why they've done it, Alex.
Oh, right, because I have to say, I do now want to see this. I don't think I'd travel all the way to Japan just to see it. So if I put in Japan squid statue, this story should come up. Is there a picture of it?
Yeah, it's quite a beauty, actually, I have to say.
Is it? Right. Okay, here we go. BBC, yeah. Bloody hell. Yeah, it's more like it's just basically a massive
squid.
Yeah. But it's very pink and very white, very pink and white. Reminds me a bit of the Crystal Palace dinosaurs in a way.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. So the fishing town of Noto, which is located in the Ishikawa prefect of Japan's central west coast, has had a very low number of cases, but has been impacted by the significant drop in tourists. I mean, to be fair, I think you've got the gist of the story. There's not much else to it, but a town built a massive squid statue.
Now, Rob, our last listener story this episode is going to be from Khyber. I know Khyber has had a lot, but Khyber does have a knack, Rob, of finding extraordinary stories. This is from the Lancashire Telegraph. It's by Cal Gaunt, real name, the 9th of June. Now, Rob, this story sums up everything that I believe is wrong with Britain.
Right.
Yeah? Everything that's wrong.
I mean, that right now, that's a lot of things.
Headline: Nelson resident. What I love about this story, what I love about Khyber here, let me tell you why Khyber is such a top tier listener, Rob. I would have looked at this headline and wouldn't have even read the story. I wouldn't have thought there was anything funny about this story. I would have just passed it over. He has taken the time. He knew when he read this headline there could be something in this. He's read it through to its conclusion and he sent it to us because he knew this was gold. Nelson residents fight to overturn Pendle Council Tree Plantation. Now, that's not a story I'm going to read. I'm going to be honest. Angry residents in Nelson are bidding to overturn Pendle Council's decision to plant fruit trees on a nearby recreation ground, Rob. The plans have been vigorously opposed by 84 residents who have cited, so these are their reasons, Rob, why they don't want these fruit trees to be grown on the recreation ground, Rob. First of all, they say that they are going to provide potential, in quotes, cover for drug dealers. They also say the leaves will clog up gutters. And they say, another reason they cite is, in quotes, feeling unsafe around so many trees as a reason to prevent the planting on Ringstone Crescent.
Sorry,
from going ahead.
What? Who feels unsafe around trees?
Rob, trees can be intimidating, Rob.
Yeah? Sure. Yeah. Okay.
I wonder if there is a tree phobia and if it has a name. Can you look that up, Rob?
Oh, there will be, Alex.
Tree phobia. Come on, let's find out. Right. Tree phobia.
Hang on,
what are they afraid of?
Trees. Yeah, it's called dendropophobia.
And it's characterised by what? I mean, is it any tree or?
Let me just have a look.
Like, do shrubs count? I mean, I'm just wondering.
Where does it say? That doesn't help me. Right.
Phobia, wiki. Here we go. Dendrophobia is the fear of trees. It comes from the Greek word dendro, meaning trees, and phobos, meaning fear. It's usually triggered from a traumatic childhood experience, like getting poked by low or fallen branch or a tree falling onto you.
Right.
So there you go.
Good to know.
and you use things like hypnosis and therapy to help the person go back in time and remember what happened between them and the tree.
Alex,
Rob, did you know in popular culture it was mentioned in The Simpsons, episode 21 of season 20. Lisa mistakenly said it is the fear of xylophones.
Oh.
So they get that wrong.
Alex, I appreciate that there might have been an incident in your past which may have involved a tree that's caused some traumatic event, but surely people realise that trees on the whole are, you know, I know they are living creatures, but they tend to be quite inanimate.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think they're not deliberately falling on you just to spite you or ruin your day.
Aren't they? Aren't they? Right, Rob, let's go back to this crazy group of residents. The group have informally met with local councillors to express, Rob, their dismay at the lack of consultation about the planting of the fruit trees and are due to debate the action in a meeting this week. Pauline Shaw, Rob, who is a resident vocal in her opposition to the plan of the planting of the fruit trees, told the Lancashire Telegraph the council are planning to plant these trees on what is a well-used recreation ground in the centre of Ringstone Crescent. Children often play football and other activities on the land. This won't be possible anymore if the plans go ahead. We were never consulted, yet it was passed at a council meeting in October and there were no objections. It's frustrating as we have never had an opportunity to give any feedback, but 3 people will have been chosen as spokespersons for the residents and will formally present objections to the council this week. Miss Shaw described the area as a wonderful space for children to play and that the plans to plant around 100 trees were only discovered in the last couple of weeks. In the written objections, one resident wrote, "The safety and welfare of our children and grandchildren is an issue. As at present, they can play on the ground in the knowledge that they are visible to all the residents should there be any problems or, God forbid, any accidents. If these trees were to be planted, it is inevitable there will be accidents. as the children, Rob, will climb them to retrieve fruit.
Of course, Alex, because they're up north and they're starving to death. But also, I like the ideas that these children will be playing and the trees will be blocking their views, but the parents will remain static so that, they found a park bench, they're happy with it, and although, when these trees are there, they'll be blocking the view of their child, but they won't move. They'll stay where they are and just hope the children are okay.
Well, Rob, they also say another major concern is that the density of the trees could provide cover for anyone dealing drugs or partaking in other criminal activity, Rob.
Wankerman, Alex. Wankerman. Mac Hancock.
One stated that the plantation of the fruit trees would lead to an increase in footfall and, in turn, vehicles, which would be, in quotes, a danger to us all, while another said she wouldn't feel safe around so many trees.
Sorry, Alex, I'm glad to get to that point. Are they saying that apparently the trees are going to become a tourist attraction?
I think so, Rob. Rob, where you plant trees, people will come.
You know that they're maintaining that that the internet should be a right of every human on Earth.
Yeah,
that shouldn't be the case for the residents of this town.
Well, right. Let's get into this because the Lancashire Telegraph contacted Pendle Council, and they are saying their plans to plant these trees are to do because they've got commitments to tackle global warming and climate change, and that's part of their declaration. That's why they're planting the trees. And he said, surprisingly, this is a corporate director for the council, Pendle has very low tree coverage, even when compared to cities like Manchester. We've identified a number of sites across the borough which are suitable for tree planting. One of these sites is Ringstone Crescent in Nelson, where we'd like to create an orchard of various fruit trees, including apple, cherry, plum and pear, around the playing field, which sounds lovely, Rob. Yeah, they're not just bulldozing over the playing field and packing it with trees.
Yeah.
Rob is losing the will to live. One of these... the fruit will be available for all residents to pick. We'd work with those interested to look after the trees. We're at the very early stages of planning. We'll be talking to nearby residents before we go ahead. Mr. Moosdale stressed that the trees would not be any taller than 2.5 metres in height and would be set back from the existing tree line to ensure they did not impact on anyone's property. I don't know, Rob. I feel like this kind of scenario, this kind of thing that these residents are talking about, it just feels to me this is exactly how Brexit happened. This is exactly what led to this kind of shit.
Yep. I think personally they should just surround this crescent with trees to the point where the residents can't escape and then just let them fight out to the death.
Absolutely, yeah. But we all know, Rob, drug dealers, their spot of choice. If you said to a drug dealer, where would your ideal spot be to deal drugs, they will always say a grove, an orchard of fruit trees. Absolutely.
So they can sample the fruit that's bountiful in the trees whilst also dealing in wraps of heroin.
Yeah. Lucy EFB says these short-sighted fools don't deserve the oxygen, food, and protection from the trees that they will offer.
Can I just say, and I know we haven't done this for a while, but comment of the week.
And apparently, a resident here says that these people have been going round during COVID, knocking on doors. Saying this to residents, saying that the trees are going to be a cover for drug dealers, so scaring people. Right, not Mark. This might be comment of the week. Simply says, I agree completely with the residents, and planting trees is basically signing a child's death warrant. Attracting drug dealers, illegal fruit picking, and people driving vehicles to look at the trees are just a few of the clear dangers associated with trees. Did you know that trees also attack tigers and fall on babies? Can fall on babies and often result in tribes moving to the area. Do you want to be killed by tigers and tribes? Because this is how you get killed by tigers and tribes. Be safe, people. Be tree aware.
Do you know what? So I think Lucy had comment of the week. He can have comment of the month.
That brilliant story from Khyber brings us to the end of our listener story special. We're still going to have the headlines, which didn't make it, which Rob has forgotten about this week, but that's fine.
We didn't discuss it beforehand, so I didn't know whether it was happening or not.
It's a feature of the show, Rob. Look, we can be found on our website, which is lapodcast.net. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/lapodcast. We're on Twitter at lapodcast. We are on Spotify. Wherever you're finding us, if it has the facility to leave us a review or subscribe, please do that. We would really appreciate it. And if you want to send us a story, every week we feature a listener story, but we do save the ones we don't use up for a listener story special. Just email it to us at lapodcast.net@gmail.com. That's lapodcast.net@gmail.com. Right, Rob, headlines which never made it. You don't have any, so it's just me. These are all from listeners.
Yes.
From the BBC, Utah girls aged 4 and 9 drive car to swim in the ocean.
Right. Okay.
They didn't. I was a bit misled by the headline. They didn't drive the car because they were hoping to put the car in water. But they found a 9-year-old girl driving a car with her 4-year-old sister in the passenger seat early on Wednesday morning. They were heading to California, Rob, because they wanted to swim in the ocean.
That's fair enough, Alex. I mean, we've all had enough of lockdown.
Tiny monkey spotted tucking into fruit after getting lost at Cambuslang Station.
Oh, that's quite cute. Although, Alex, you know, whereabouts is it? Where is it? Is that India?
I don't know.
My concern is that, you know, the residents of this crescent in Nelson will be very concerned that they're going to be overrun with tiny monkeys.
The only thing I'd say, Robert, is from the Glasgow Live website. Now, I know Scotland has some odd names, but I don't think Cambuslang is one of them.
No,
No, it was ScotRail. It happened in Scotland.
What?
A little monkey.
Oh,
yeah, ScotRail. That's where it that was the. A lot of people in Scotland have pet monkeys. People don't realise.
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, yeah.
They use the monkeys to go out and get them alcohol.
Let's move on.
They call them beer monkeys. It's true, Rob.
Right.
I've got Scottish blood. I keep telling you.
Sure.
This. I couldn't feature this. I can't remember who it was from. I think it might have been Steve. Yeah, I think it was. The moment boy gets stuck inside Hammy the Haddock recycling bin. It was from Grimsby Telegraph. Basically, 2 boys were seen in and around this sculpture of Hammy the Haddock, and I think one of them chucked something in there that belonged to the other boy, and the other boy went in to try and get it out and got stuck in the mouth of the fish. Couldn't escape.
Who?
Be good for that trap. What was it? Stuck fetish. That we talked about last week.
Who's Hammy the Haddock? Is that
Hammy
just
the Haddock is a recycling bin, Rob.
Right.
In Grimsby.
So he's just a mascot for recycling, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Just want to clear that up.
But on Friday nights, the residents gather around and worship him as well.
Oh right, yeah.
They believe he brings them good fortune.
That's more believable. Yeah.
He's twinned with that squid in Japan.
They set up a Zoom link.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. We have enjoyed your company so much. What a fantastic listener story. Thank you for all those stories. We really appreciate them. We're going to be back, probably in a couple of weeks, with a regular episode of LA Podcast. And we shall see you then. God bless.
And keep it local.